Welcome to the Biblical Perspectives for Leadership podcast, where timeless biblical truths meet modern leadership. We are thrilled to have you join us on this journey of exploring how biblical principles can guide us in leading with wisdom, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're leading in the church, your workplace, or your community, this podcast is designed to inspire, challenge, and equip you for the road ahead. Let's dive into today's conversation and discover how Scripture shapes the way we lead.
Welcome back to Biblical Perspectives for Leadership. So if you're listening, I'm guessing you're probably wrestling with a tough decision, right?
Leading a team that's struggling.
Yeah, exactly. Or just navigating that constant pressure of expectation. Today, we're diving deep into a really critical leadership principle, leading past self-doubt.
It's the absolute core challenge, isn't it? Leadership demands resilience, but what do you do when your most dedicated efforts just result in catastrophic failure? We're taking an in-depth look at the material found in Exodus chapter 6.
A biblical story that honestly provides some astonishingly relevant insights for managing fear, recovering from setbacks,
and for accepting an assignment that just feels way bigger than you are.
So our mission today is really to extract the key nuggets from this story. The scenario is already set up. Moses has gone to Pharaoh with this divine mandate,
demanding the release of the Israelites.
In the immediate result.
Oh, a total backfire. Pharaoh didn't just say no. He decided to, increase the workload for the Hebrew slaves.
Right. They have to produce the same number of bricks, but now without the straw.
Exactly. So the mission didn't just fail gracefully. It failed, spectacularly and brutally.
Moses' intervention, which was supposed to bring relief, it just plunged the people into deeper suffering.
The Israelites are furious. Moses is disillusioned, and the whole plan looks completely invalidated, within days.
And we have to ask you, the listener, have you ever poured effort, time, sincere conviction into a task only to have the outcome be demonstrably worse than when you started?
That immediate paralyzing frustration, that's the emotional landscape of Exodus chapter 6.
Yeah.
And it's right there that God chooses to speak next.
And he doesn't speak with, soft encouragement. He speaks with a massive shift in perspective. Just look at the opening line in Exodus chapter 6, verse 1.
Moses is reeling from this setback. He's asking, essentially, why did you even send me?
And the Lord replies, now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. That one line. It reframes the entire definition of the failure that just happened.
And what's so fascinating here is the pattern. God often allows that immediate, almost excruciating frustration before the fulfillment.
So if the obstacle, whether it's Pharaoh or a toxic workplace or a personal crisis, if it seems to have gained the upper hand right after you committed to action,
the material suggests this isn't abandonment. It's often God setting the stage for a demonstration of power that is, undeniably his own.
A leader facing immediate failure really needs that kind of divine reframing.
But he doesn't stop there. To reinforce this new perspective, God makes this powerful, monumental reintroduction of himself.
That's in Exodus chapter 6, verses 2 and 3. He declares, I am the Lord. That's covenant name Yahweh. And this is critical context.
It is. It's a profound moment of relational progression. The material explains that God had been known to the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as God Almighty.
El Shaddai.
El Shaddai, exactly. And El Shaddai is the God of promise. He's the one who sustains and gives that initial vision.
Okay, so the promises, the land, the nation, all of that were established under the name El Shaddai.
Precisely. But the move to Yahweh signals a transition. It's from the God of promise to the covenant-keeping God of fulfillment.
So it's a declaration that the time for abstract assurance is over.
And the time for active, tangible commitment has begun. This is essential for a leader to absorb.
Yeah.
Understanding that the promises made long ago are now actively coming due. Your mission isn't based on wishful thinking. It's grounded in divine commitment.
And to anchor this even further, God then follows up in Exodus chapter 6, verses 4 and 5 by explicitly recalling his covenant promises.
Yeah, he reminds Moses of the land promised to their ancestors and confirms that he has heard the groaning of the enslaved Israelites.
So he doesn't just state his name. He links it directly to their current suffering and their future inheritance.
And that reminder, it serves as this crucial anchor against doubt. The key takeaway for any leader facing sustained hardship has to be this: God doesn't forget his promises.
Even when the people are completely distracted and overwhelmed by their immediate pain.
Exactly. Delayed fulfillment never means divine forgetfulness. The leader, Moses, is reminded of the ultimate goal when everyone else, including Moses himself, is just fixated on the current miserable hardship.
That's the first job of a leader, isn't it? Holding the vision when the circumstances look impossible.
It is.
And the vision that follows is not a suggestion, it's a binding contract. The ultimate demonstration of this commitment comes next as God provides a definitive 7-part blueprint for redemption.
It's right there in Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. It's the bedrock of assurance for Moses and the people.
Yes, and the material lays out a complete picture of redemption using 7 powerful declarations, all starting with,
I will. It's not a vague guarantee. It's a systematic, comprehensive commitment. It addresses every single facet of their current situation, moving from external freedom to internal relationship.
Let's look closely at these 7 I wills, because they show a comprehensive commitment that we as leaders should really model when we promise action.
Oh, absolutely. The commitment is total. First, God says, I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. That's the initial extraction.
Okay, step 1.
Second, I will rescue you from their bondage. That's the active intervention and protection.
And then the third one.
Third, I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. This points to the powerful, decisive means of their release.
So this first 3 cover the physical deliverance, but the next 2, they seem to shift the focus entirely. It moves from what God will do for them to what he will do with them.
That's exactly right. Number 4, I will take you to be my people. This is adoption. It's changing their identity from slaves to the chosen people.
And 5th, I will be your God.
Which solidifies the relational covenant, the sustenance, the ultimate authority. This is where the commitment becomes deeply personal.
And then the final 2 promises link the entire effort back to that original vision, the goal that was established under El Shaddai.
Yep. 6th, I will bring you to the land which I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And 7th,
I will give it to you for a heritage. I am the Lord. This sequence is so vital for leadership. It assures the people of the destination, the land and the establishment, the heritage, all powered by the covenant-keeping God, Yahweh.
You know, if we connect this to leadership today, why is a 7-point, really detailed commitment like this so important when people are suffering? Wouldn't a simple, I'll fix it, be enough?
Well, a simple I'll fix it just addresses the symptom, not the trauma.
That's a good point.
This detailed plan is crucial because trauma creates tunnel vision. When you are suffering cruel bondage, you can only see the next immediate burden. God's comprehensive blueprint forces Moses and the people to look beyond the immediate pain.
To see that the commitment covers every stage.
From the initial rescue all the way to the final establishment, a firm leader never promises vague hope. They promise structured, dependable action, even if the timeline is, a bit obscured.
That makes perfect sense. So Moses is armed with this incredible 7-point divine mandate. He has clarity, authority, renewed assurance.
He's ready.
He goes and speaks these incredible promises to the Israelites, ready to reignite their hope. But then you look at their response in Exodus chapter 6, verse 9.
They refuse to listen.
Just flat out refuse.
This is maybe the hardest truth about leadership. The people refuse to listen because of, and the text says, anguish of spirit and cruel bondage, the pain they are in. It acted like noise-canceling headphones, blocking out the promise entirely.
And that is the ultimate test for a leader, isn't it? How can you speak hope? How can you offer a 7-point plan of deliverance when your audience is so overwhelmed that good news just sounds impossible?
Or even insulting.
Yeah.
It forces the leader to understand that delivery is as important as the message. But sometimes success is simply maintaining the message, regardless of the feedback.
You have to keep declaring the promise, the vision, the commitment, even when the immediate human feedback is just rejection or cynicism.
Because the failure wasn't the final word, the promise is.
But the pressure doesn't just stop with the people's rejection. It hits the leader internally. God recommissions Moses in Exodus chapter 6, verses 10 through 13, to go speak to Pharaoh again.
And Moses, after all that divine assurance, he still protests.
What does he say?
He says, I am of uncircumcised lips. He means he's inadequate, unskilled in speech, and therefore unfit to represent such a massive mission.
He's basically saying, I'm not a good communicator. How can I possibly go back to the most powerful man on earth?
Exactly.
This is where we need to spend some time, because this is the crux of leading past self-doubt. We live in a world that's obsessed with self-optimization, We're told that if you aren't the best or the loudest or the most confident, you won't succeed. This material seems to just flip that script.
It absolutely does. This is critical for anyone leading with a sense of inadequacy. God's call doesn't change because of our complaints or our insecurities or our perceived deficits.
Whether it's public speaking skills or technical expertise.
Right. Moses' self-doubt, his uncircumcised lips, it doesn't disqualify him. It becomes the exact platform upon which God demonstrates his sufficiency.
So if Moses had been the most articulate man in Egypt,
The deliverance might have been credited to his rhetoric. Since he was not, the glory has to belong elsewhere.
wow. So the very thing he considered his biggest limitation became the evidence that the power source was external. It's a remarkable reversal of that fake it till you make it mentality we hear so often.
Exactly. Moses is being told, don't hide the doubt. Embrace the sufficiency that covers the doubt.
Leadership isn't about the absence of weakness. It's about operating in the presence of commitment.
And the narrative reinforces this. God repeats the charge to Moses, telling him precisely what to say. And yet, what does Moses do?
He repeats his hesitation later in Exodus chapter 6, verse 30. He again protests his inability to speak effectively, saying, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh heed me?
That repetition of fear resurfacing is just so intensely human.
Even with divine promises and a clear mandate, the self-doubt creeps right back in the moment. The task feels overwhelming again.
But notice the divine response to that repeated fear. The continual reinforcement of the command in Exodus chapter 6, verses 28 through 30. It shows that God just keeps speaking the instruction until the leader steps into obedience.
God is patient with the process of faith.
Knowing that fear will resurface, but the calling remains firm. Moses has to be told and reminded and told again. It shows God meeting the leader right where their vulnerability is greatest.
Now, before God delivers the final instructions, the material includes what might seem like, well, an interruption to a modern reader.
The genealogy.
Right, a detailed genealogy in Exodus chapter 6, verses 14 through 27. It details the lineage of Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. If we're focused on urgency and action, why insert a long list of names right in the middle? Doesn't that hurt the narrative flow?
It's a great question, and it directly addresses the structure of authority. The genealogy isn't narrative filler, it's grounding. Yeah. In a world where leadership relies on external validation, this passage grounds Moses and Aaron in the priestly line. It validates their authority, proving they're acting according to divine order and covenant relationship.
Not just out of personal ambition or a sudden surge of confidence.
Precisely. The message is clear. Authority comes from the connection to the covenant, not from Moses' personal skills or his confidence level. It's a message that leadership is about assignment, not self-selection.
It secures the legitimacy of the whole endeavor, reminding us that even the immediate failure and the leader's self-doubt are happening within a divinely ordered history.
Exactly.
So if you're listening right now, trying to lead your team or your family or just navigate a goal that feels impossible, what are the core principles we've extracted from the story that can help you lead past that paralyzing self-doubt? Let's try to connect these points directly to your experience.
Okay, first, absorb the significance that God's promise is intensely personal. The transition from El Shaddai to Yahweh, from the God of your fathers to I am the Lord your God, means the foundational commitment is personal and active in your current crisis.
Your efforts are supported by an identity that is committed to fulfillment.
Right. Second, always remember that deliverance is a process, not a single event. The initial setback, Pharaoh, increasing the bondage, that wasn't the end.
He was frustration before freedom. We tend to view delay as denial, but this material shows that delay is often necessary for God to develop faith and resilience in the leader.
Third, and this is so crucial for mental health and leadership, leaders get discouraged too. Moses faced rejection from his own people and doubted his own abilities.
Specifically his communication skills.
And yet God didn't revoke his calling. Your self-doubt, your current sense of inadequacy, it doesn't disqualify you from the mission you've been given. It just shifts the focus onto the strength that supplies the mission.
And finally, faith requires focus, even under duress. When the people around Moses couldn't hear the promise because of their overwhelming pain, the leader had to stay focused.
He had to keep declaring what God had promised. The burden of leadership in moments of crisis is holding that vision steadfastly when no one else can see it. You have to stay focused on the comprehensive I wills, not just the immediate burden.
That's it.
So if your greatest doubt, your own version of uncircumcised lips, is actually a prerequisite for displaying a power that is clearly not your own, then what is the next small step of obedience God is reinforcing to you right now? That is the ultimate question this deep dive into Exodus chapter 6 leaves with you.
That is a powerful final thought. Focusing on obedience, not perfection, changes the game entirely. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into leadership and overcoming doubt.
Thank you for joining us on the Biblical Perspectives for Leadership
podcast.
podcast. I hope today's insights have encouraged and equipped you to lead with faith, wisdom, and purpose. Remember, the greatest leader of all time taught us that true leadership is about serving others. If you enjoyed this episode and podcast, be sure to subscribe, share it with others, and leave a review. It helps us reach more people with these transformative truths. Until next time, keep leading with grace and walking in purpose.